So thanks to the app Just Watch, we always have access to new releases that come out on Netflix and Shudder and whatever. You know, it keeps us really up to date, and it's a great tool to have. So definitely download that when you get the chance, because it is a must in my opinion. And so I looked and I saw that there was a new movie on Netflix called The Haunted Hotel. Really clever title there. Took a long time to come up with.
Yeah.
And this is an Indonesian horror film, which we are mostly fans of typically when we watch Indonesian. And those are the ones I feel like that and Indian horror gets dropped on Netflix and has no promotion and no one's ever talking about them.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're always the ones that are on top of them first. Lastly, we watched Sisuk, which we quite enjoyed. And we recommended it to people, and a bunch of people have watched it since and enjoyed it. So, you know, I like to get on top of these foreign releases on Netflix when we come across them, like we do typically on the Just Watch app, which you can just put in new and what apps you want, and it'll tell you everything released within the genre. It's very, very handy.
Yes.
So, The Haunted Hotel. This is about a woman and her sister who inherit a, you guessed it, haunted hotel. And they are to stay away from the third floor, which they do not do.
They do
and
not.
When you go up to the third floor, you hear a woman crying. And when you go to investigate, she tells you you have 3 days until midnight, and then you're dead. So this, of course, has similarities to gimmicky films like The Ring. I think that's going to be a quick, easy comparison. You know, you answer the phone, 7 days, you die.
Yeah.
This one crawls out of like a mirror. She crawls out of a TV. It has a lot of similarities to that.
Yeah.
The thing that really surprised me with this one, it is 2 hours long, and it's too long is one of my gripes. But what I was really impressed with and surprised by is there's some pretty gnarly ass kills in this movie, which I was very happy with. The kills unfortunately do come with some CG to them, but there's a lot of practicals to it as well. So you might get a kill that has both practicals and CG, and the practicals within that kill look rad.
Yeah.
And the CG can be slightly distracting from it, but you get like a blend, and then there will just be a part where it's just all practical.
Yeah.
And you'll get some of it where it's all CG, but you just kind of accept it all as you know what it is, and some of it's pretty gnarly. And so that was cool. And I was really feeling this film, and I was like, oh, this is a totally fun, totally good watch that I was really excited to come and tell you guys about. And then we hit the last maybe 30 minutes, 25 minutes or so during the climax of the climax. And then we get like, after the climax, you get, the movie kind of draws on. It almost has like a Return of the King thing, except for Return of the King's awesome. And all those endings for me are like have a point, and these don't. This movie should have ended when we thought it ended, and it would have been much better.
Yeah, I was pretty into this movie too, but it felt like a soap opera kind of the whole time, and definitely those like multiple endings were very soap opera-y. They're very melodramatic.
Yeah.
I really liked the gore in this. I think that that's probably the highlight of the movie for me.
Yeah.
It was very unexpected and very brutal at times, so I really appreciated that, because I feel like, especially with haunting movies or ghost movies, you don't always get gore.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
That's definitely something I've noticed in Indonesian films, that they go for that. They go for like more brutal ghost stories, and I think maybe that's a cultural thing. I don't know, but I really like it. But the endings are ridiculous.
Yeah, we get to a place in the film where we're about to wrap things up. They're going for the traditional, by the numbers kind of ending where some ritual or something has to be performed. You've seen it a million times. And then there's this expositional scene where we get a backstory to complement that ritual that they're supposed to be doing to put this to rest. And this actually made us laugh out loud because it is so soap opera-y in its explanation of what happened, where you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
What?
It's
And then it ends, you think, and you're like, oh, okay, that's the way it's going to end. All right, that's fine. Like, it got a little silly at the end, but then it was like ending, and I was like, okay, that's cute. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But, and I thought, I was about to turn the TV off or, move on. And then it didn't end. And it went on for maybe another 15 full minutes. And all of that stuff was completely unnecessary to me. And I'm not saying that it was like nothing happened. No, not at all. It completely changed everything.
Yes.
So it's not like without point. It's just that I don't like the addition of it. I think that it just should have ended, or if they were going to go in the direction that they went in for the end, they should have gotten to it much quicker. They shouldn't have drawn it out as long as it goes, because it just adds to the melodrama. Yeah. Right? The ending just really goes further and further into the dramatics that are corny. And it definitely doesn't help the film as a whole, because that first hour, it might be kind of cheesy and corny a bit, but I found it to be very sweet and sincere in that approach, and I didn't mind it because I find Indonesian horror a lot of the times to kind of have that tone to it. And it was like, okay, this is kind of par for the course, but then they went overboard and I was like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. I still think it's worth a watch for Indonesian horror fans because of the kills. I just think that the generic execution and the soap opera tones that they threw in that went overboard killed the potential of this film. And that's a bummer, because I did rather enjoy quite a bit of this film. It just, where it ends, it leaves you kind of with a bad taste, which is a shame. Yeah. So it's 2 hours long, so it might not be a quick, easy watch for some people, and it's subtitled, so that's asking a lot. So unless you're somebody who is really into this kind of Indonesian ghost stories, and you want to take a risk with it, to take a gamble, I think as long as you follow within those parameters, I think you're good to go. Outside of those parameters, maybe just fast forward to the kills. Because they are pretty awesome. They are. They're really cool. Yeah. And some of the scare scenes, too. I don't want to just say it's the gore, but I think, okay, here's what I should say. This should be a better review here. This is what it should have been. The film really, really works super well in its horror and fails pretty much everywhere else. Yes, I agree. So the horror in this is great. Yes. All the drama is lame. And unfortunately, 75% of the film is drama. But it's funny, I didn't find myself checked out of the drama in the first half. I was just kind of like, okay, that's making us follow along until the next horror moment, right? There's something there to keep our engagement, and I was fine. I was kind of like, yeah, this is fine. Yeah, I think that, the plot is very cliche and predictable, and I didn't mind that because the horror was so good. I just didn't like the way that it was wrapped up, because it just felt very cheap. For instance, and you could take this as a spoiler, sort of, but this is a perfect example for this film. It happens pretty early on, and it's just, it kind of sets the tone for the whole film. So they inherit this place, and their grandparents are there to help them with the undertaking of all of this. And the grandma who knows what's going on, and the grandfather who knows what's going on, but it's the grandmother that like pulls aside the older sister. And she's like, don't go to the 3rd floor. And she's like, okay. And she's like, you just can't go up there. It has renovations going on. But you are in charge of the entire complex. This whole place is yours, and you have to take care of it. Like, all of this is your responsibility. The whole place is up to you. Oh, but don't ever go up to the 3rd floor because it's under construction and renovation. That's it. She just says that. Nothing else. If you go up there, you die. This seems like a huge thing that you might want to reiterate.
Yeah.
You might want to have a little bit more urgency in your voice to be like, no, you have to understand. Under no circumstances can you ever step foot onto the 3rd floor because you will die. Like something. I don't know.
Especially
you
a
have
family member.
Dude, it's ridiculous. The way she tells her is so nonchalant. It's like something you'd forget completely.
Absolutely.
You'd be like, what floor? I don't even remember. Whatever. And then she hears crying. Of course, she's going to go investigate. She's the hotel manager. You might want to let her in on the fact that it lures you in with its crying. As a hotel manager, you would want to go investigate if there was a guest.
Yes.
That is in need of help or whatever.
Yeah.
So that sets the tone for the entirety of the film. And then there's this whole, romantic subplot between our main girl and this cop who had a falling out relationship moment, and they're like gonna rekindle maybe, but he wants a family and blah, blah, blah. It's all super melodramatic.
It is.
And it's just, that scene, I'm telling you, is the perfect example of why this doesn't work narratively. Your grandma's just going to be like, oh, and by the way, don't go on the 3rd floor. Okay, anyways, everybody good? All right, have fun running this place for years, and you're just never going to step foot on the 3rd floor because I told you not to.
Right.
No reasoning, no indication that it's really of any importance. Drove me absolutely nuts. And then when she, of course, eventually goes on the 3rd floor, she's like, I told you not to go.
Yeah, she's so...
Oh! How dumb of me.
She's like, how could you?
I guess I deserve it.
Yeah.
So stupid.
It's silly.
But the kills are rad.
They are.
And I don't know. I still had a good time watching it.
I did too.
Yeah.
I had fun.
So that's that. All right, guys. Let us know if you watch it. It's on Netflix. The Haunted Hotel. The Haunting? Yeah, The Haunted Hotel. Yeah. All right.
Bye.